Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Great, Belinda. So good to talk with you.
I'm so excited for this. Welcome to the Perfect Child podcast, and I'm going to start with your bio. I'm with Andrew Freeman of Coherence Education. Traditional schools are still preparing children for jobs and skill sets that AI will make obsolete by the time they graduate. Andrew's mission is to prepare kids for the AI era through a new paradigm he calls inside out education, helping them grow into healthy, happy, thriving creators. In college, Andrew triple majored in computer science, math, and accounting while playing varsity basketball and tennis. He later got an MBA from Northwestern and built a successful tech career with leadership roles at Microsoft, Hewlett Packard, Netscape, and multiple startups. Andrew is currently scaling Coherence Education's accredited full-time program to a licensing model that will transform the lives of over 2 million children by 2030. I get chills. Andrew is looking for teachers, partners, and funders who want to work together to transform education with him. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Andrew?
Well, I guess that I'm just having so much fun. I'm having the time of my life doing this, Belinda. So it definitely doesn't feel like work, even though I'm probably working harder than I ever have. But
That's the best.
good
That's
stuff.
what we all should be aspiring to, right?
Yeah, no, I feel so blessed to have found myself in this situation. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you're definitely transforming lives. All right. Please tell us about Coherence Education's inside out approach to education. I've jumped on your website and I love how you recognize and call attention to the fact that each individual kid is a unique, amazing being with their own unique zone of genius and their
Mhm.
own unique hero's journey, path, and purpose. Please tell us more about how you help kids map out their own education curriculum.
Thank you. So when I went to school, I didn't like school very much, even though I took so much of it and I got all these majors and
What?
I just did it because you were supposed to do it. It was like this game of access, right? So if you went in and you took the classes and you got good enough grades, then you could go to a good college. And if you went to a good college, you got good enough grades and you got out, you could either get into a good grad school or get a good job. So it was like one of those video games where you're just going up the levels, right? And it wasn't
Yes.
so much about what we were learning, but we were just getting access to each new level. And so I always loved teaching. So during my summers when I was a college student, I always coached tennis and basketball, and I had so much fun teaching kids. And then like trying to figure out, like I noticed everybody would have the same method for teaching, but I noticed with teaching different kids, they would respond. Each one would respond different ways, and I would have fun trying to find out like, okay, how am I going to make the light bulb turn off so this kid figures out how to hit a backhand, or try all these different things and try making up weird stories or going out of the court and like playing golf where they had to hit all backhands. And we come back in and like, oh, that could have worked. So what I noticed is every kid was different. And what I it really came to me this whole idea that education has one system and they expect all the kids to adapt to that. And there's a system of punishments and rewards, and kids are competing for grades and social status. And then the ones who are making it like, oh, they get all the rewards, and then all the other kids like just get I have a tough time, right? I'm like,
Right.
and I'm looking
They
at
feel
these
bad
kids,
about themselves.
they do, and I'm looking at these kids who are having a tough time. I'm like, they're perfectly amazing kids, and why do they have to adapt to a system that's not working for them? Why can't the system adapt to them? So then I got this idea that hey, I really believe that every kid has a unique genius. We used to measure genius like, oh, are they a musical genius, or are they a sports prodigy, or are they a math genius? And we would measure them, but no, every kid has absolutely,
Yes.
like, some kids are geniuses at empathy and some kids are
Yes.
geniuses at organization, and
Yes.
every kid has one of these things. So I was just thinking, well, if we can figure out a way to know what the kid's genius zone is, and we can help them develop that, then we always talk about, oh, they're a one percenter, they're in the top 1%, they're 1 in 100. But then I'm like, well, wait a second. If they're a unique genius, it means they're not 1 in 100, they're not 1 in 1,000. It's like they're one of one. They're one of
Yes.
8 billion, right?
Yes.
So we want to find their genius and develop it. So that's what inside out education is all about, is discovering that genius, developing it for kids, and then wrapping around it all the key life skills that Belinda, you and I learned as adults. Like, when did you first learn about money?
Oh, have I learned about money? I mean,
Or
I literally, my friend who's super eager about finances has been talking to me about it. And I'm literally just like, why aren't you recording something about this for all the teens, like
right.
everyone, so that they can learn about investing and growing your money? I didn't learn any of that.
Yeah, exactly. And then when did you learn about creating healthy relationships and active listening and conscious communication?
Wait, have I learned that yet? Literally in the past 10 years, Andrew.
Yeah, no, it's right. And for most of us, we learn it as a result of crisis. So our relationships falling apart, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe I don't know everything about this that I thought I did, or you're broke, or you're having a hard time in your career. So then, as an adult, we go
Yeah.
back and try to learn those skills. So I thought, well, like myself, what if I had learned how to communicate with people when I was a kid, or how to set healthy boundaries, or even how to say no when I meant no, instead of just like, well, I'll go along with it. My life would have been so different. So
People pleasers.
exactly. So I got
School, like
super,
conventional school, breeds people pleasers.
yes, 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 because you're supposed to do whatever work is handed to you without complaint. So yeah, you learn basically to have your boundaries busted every day. So that really inspired me. I'm like, wow, what if these kids develop their unique genius zone, so they get into the adult world as a world class whatever it is that they're great at,
Yes.
and then we wrap around it all of the key life skills around career, people, money, and health, so that they can get their genius out into the world.
Oh
i'm
my
like i'm like
gosh.
then we're going to be humming. So that was really how that came, as a system that adapts to each kid. And one of the advantages of us being 100% online, which we are right now, is we have all the tools to be able to provide that type of education to the kids, and we have the tools to like they can have their own individual lane that they really excel in, and all the other kids are in their individual lanes, and they can kind of compete with themselves and not the other
Yes.
kids. And what we find is that these kids are developing amazing projects. They're writing musicals, and they're writing screenplays, and they're creating videos on consciousness. We have an 11-year-old
Gosh,
who's doing that.
what?
No, I know, it's crazy. And so because they're in their lane, they're feeling really amazing about themselves, because it's like, wow, I'm creating something that's really easy, and people appreciate it. And then they're appreciating each other as well. So we have this beautiful
Oh,
cooperative environment, no
yes.
bullying, because everybody's like, oh, you go, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you go, you're awesome.
There's no
But
comparison because
exactly.
everybody is their own genius. And so when they come together and even the parents are surrounding them, everyone is appreciative of everybody's gift.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Belinda. And the way I think about it is most schools are a zero sum game. When you think about the bell curve, by
Yeah.
definition, it's a zero sum game. The same number of A's as F's, right? And
Yep.
mostly getting C's. But what if it's an infinite sum game?
Yeah.
So everybody can create as much as they want, and they're not competing against each other, and they're actually inspiring each other. It's really beautiful to see.
It's really beautiful. And what I love about this platform that you've created is that every child is unique. And while they're learning, because they're in their home environment, the parent is usually nearby as well. And so the parent is actually probably learning alongside their kids because, like we just
Yeah.
discovered, we don't learn any of this stuff until it actually comes into our wheelhouse or, our into our sphere. And so then the child and the parents are learning together, and it's this beautiful synergy.
It really is. It really is. And a lot of times we get these amazing guest teachers on, like Bruce Lipton and Gregg Braeden and Lynne
Gosh,
McTaggert. And then the
yes.
parents are leaning over the kid's shoulder and they're like asking the question. I want to ask a question. So
Oh
it is fun.
yeah.
And then some of our classes, we're doing a lot of intuitive development using
Right.
blindfold training
Yes.
for mind sight, and then
Yeah.
we're doing animal communication, remote
Yes.
viewing, quantum energy healing. So these kids get to really tap into their superpowers. But what they need help from the parents in most cases. Like if they have a blindfold on, they need a helper. So then it creates this special bond between parent and kid. And you've experienced that yourself.
Yes, yes, I just got back from the blindfold vision with Dr. Edith and Dahlia, and it's incredible. It's beautiful to see because the kids were there too, and obviously Dr. E's son, got up there. He had his blindfold on, and he solved three different Rubik's cubes with his blindfold on, and we're all blown away. And it's
Yes.
just the 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 energy of the room really enhanced everybody's capabilities. And this is what's beautiful is that we are all superhuman.
We
And
are.
it's like I almost don't want to say superhuman because as humans we are super, but we're just not aware of that. And
No,
it's
that's
really
right.
nice how what you do really brings the parents and the children together closer because that is what we need. The 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 first of all, the mama baby diet is never broken. It's so
Right.
intact all the time.
Yes.
And when we send our kids off to school, there's that disconnect, and we literally don't know what's happening with them at all. They come home, they're not really telling us anything. They're feeling burdened. We don't know why. We're adding more to it because we're conditioned. And
Mm.
this is what's going to really help not only build confident, self assured children that grow up into compassionate human beings that know that there is no limit to them, but also it brings the relationship, the family relationship so much closer.
Yeah. I love that you're talking about that because I do believe once, well, first of all, kids will fill any size container that you give them. So if schools say that the container is this big and everything is impossible outside of that, kids kind of believe that. And most kids will stay within that. But if you really open it up and be like, well, no, you can bend spoons and you can see through blindfolds and you can communicate with an animal that's halfway around the world. And then as soon as kids start getting that, they start asking really amazing questions about, well, wait a second. What is the nature of me? What is the nature of the universe where that's even possible? Wow, I must be actually very powerful. And it's
Yes.
so different than a lot of the messages that kids get these days where they're not powerful or even that they're a problem for the planet, you know,
Right.
and which
Yes.
which is one that I have a real problem with. So
Yes, agreed. And I love that you guys have animal communication because that's what's going to help humans be kinder and
yeah.
understand and have empathy for animals, that they're just as important as we are. They have
Mm,
feelings too. And
mm.
for them to understand that they can communicate with animals will change the way that we humans tend to be. Very kind of
Yes.
like overpowering, and things just exist so that we can manipulate them.
Yes. Yes. We've got so many amazing stories out of our animal communication class where they'll have a target animal that's having problems, kind of like with Lynne McTaggart's Power of Eight groups, where they
Yeah.
send intentions and but these kids are sending messages to the animal and they're kind of finding out, well, what's going on? Why is this animal always stealing food, or why is it being aggressive, or why is it not being adopted from the shelter? And they'll get information and then they'll send it messages like, no, you're safe, you're loved, you're beautiful, all these things. And then there's always a great story the next week. No, he finally got adopted after 2 years, or his behavior has completely changed and now he just wants to be friends with everybody. So the kids are seeing this and then they're trying it themselves. So they come back. One of our kids who lives in Texas, said that she saw a roadrunner, which are normally obviously very skittish because they're prey, and that's why they're so fast. And she just sent it messages like, "Oh wow, you're amazing! Look how," and it came over and it was really curious, and it let her pet it, and
Wow.
no, it was incredible. So we keep hearing
Amazing.
all of these stories. So it's just developing this amazing relationship with nature, like you're saying.
Oh gosh, I love it so much. I want to go back to talk about this notion of geniuses. So, I believe on your website, you have a NASA study that tested and found that 95% of 5-year-olds were geniuses. And by 15 years old, only 12% were geniuses. And then 25 years and up, only 2% were geniuses. That is depressing. And it's also indicative of the conventional school system
Mm.
that we all have our kids a part of.
Yes, yes, I couldn't agree more. So just yeah, a few more words about that study. So this guy named George Land got hired by NASA in 1969, so it was a while back, to develop a study to test creative genius for their engineers. So he gave the engineers a study, and then 2% of them tested as creative geniuses. And NASA's like, yes, 2 out of 100 of our engineers are creative geniuses. But then George decided to give this same test to a bunch of 5-year-olds, and actually 98% of them tested as creative geniuses. And then he followed the same cohort of kids, gave them the same test 5 years later, and it was down to 30% when they were 10, like you said, 12% when they were 15, and then 2% when they were adults. And the question obviously is, well, is that just a natural erosion that kids are super creative, and then when you become adults you lose it? And they found out, no, no, it's not the case at all. And what he really found out is, because in schools they teach you that there's only one right answer, which is called
Mhm.
convergent thinking, that
Mhm.
it takes away your creativity. You lose your creative muscle. Whereas divergent thinking, where there are infinite possibilities, will keep creative energies coming in. So that's why I love when kids get to create their own projects and feel into like, wow, what if I did this? What if I did that?
Yes.
And it's okay to fail. Like, okay, you tried that, it didn't work. What are you going to do next? Well, okay, well, let me try this. And then it
Right.
then it really fosters creativity.
Right. So consistently fostering creativity and new ideas. Nothing is ever wrong. It just didn't
Yes.
happen.
Yeah. It either works or you learn.
Right.
One of
Right.
those two things.
Oh gosh. And I want to go back to what you were saying about how you were a triple major and you hated school. And this is really indicative of the culture and how we have people who will succeed in a school environment, and we give them awards and accolades, but it doesn't help them to really recognize their genius. They've only just conformed to a
Mhm.
very stagnant system.
Mhm.
And so we really need to be asking ourselves questions as to why are we still doing this? Every
Yeah.
year in June, I I I'm always wondering, like, what is the significance of like graduating from high school? We're literally like, congratulations, you've conformed to 12 years of school, of giving up your agency over your body, over your mind, and now we're giving you awards and you've just gotten straight A's and now you're going to try and go do 4 more years of like this box in learning. Why are we doing that?
Yeah. Yeah. It, a bunch of great pieces to unpack in what you said is first of all, why are classrooms so hard to sit through? Because that was the thing to me is I remember just being so bored. I had this ongoing fantasy of like running towards the window and then just diving through it to escape, because it looked like the clock was just not moving. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the most boring, painful thing ever. And I didn't like class, but I loved learning. So then at night during homework, I would look at the book and I'm like, okay, let's see if I can figure this out. I'm like, oh, okay, I can figure this out. But during class, I was just daydreaming constantly because it just felt so painful.
Uh,
And the thing that I realize is, so as I've been putting together classes for the kids, and my goal is that they not only learn a lot, but they have fun. I realize there are three kinds of classes. So one is, I'm calling it knowledge, magic, and skills. So we've got three different classes depending on what if we're just transferring knowledge, great. You can have more of a traditional type of setting where you have one teacher and lots of kids, because you're kind of just transferring knowledge. And I think the mistake that most schools make is the teacher just talks the whole time, and most kids don't learn by listening; they learn by doing.
Right.
So, what
Humans.
exactly? So what we do is we have a motto that the kids start learning when we stop talking. So we speak minimally, and then get them into exercises as quickly as possible, like hands-on exercises or discussions with other kids, or one kid teaching another kid. So get them
Love
involved, and then
it.
and then the time flies for them. We have 2 hour classes, but they just fly when the kids are busy. So that's a knowledge class. I think the problem in the past, like if you ever know anybody who took languages in
Hmm.
school,
Hmm.
like I know so many people who took French for like 6 years,
Yeah.
and they go to France and they can't speak French, or they can't understand what people are saying, right? Well,
Right.
how can you be in something for 6 years? And I realize you don't learn skills in that type of situation. So a language is a skill.
Hmm.
And the way you learn it is by doing it one on one. So you're everyone, and everybody learns at a different pace. So you go in and you focus, and you learn as much as you can during a certain amount of time, and then you pick it up again the next time. But if you're trying to do that in a class with 30 kids, maybe a couple of them are tracking about the right pace, but then half are lost and half are bored because it's
Right.
the wrong pace. So for skill classes, they have to be individual. And so we have labs for learning skills, and math is a skill too. I don't think it should take 12 years to learn basic math. So we learned that in a lab as well. And for my own kid, when we were moving to Portugal, um, Jamie was super behind in math, and I got Jamie up three
What's
grades.
behind?
Well, like grade level, supposedly. Like
Right.
you're supposed to, Jamie was supposed to know algebra and was way behind on that. So, but I got Jamie up 3 grade levels in 3 weeks, basically by using that method. We'll just like, okay, this is the skill we're going to work on today. What's the best way that you can just get it so the light bulb comes off, and you know it well enough to teach it back to me? So we would do that. And I think that's another problem, like with math, is they'll move you forward if you get a C minus, which means you don't really know it. And then so you're lost in that, and then you're going to be super lost at the next level. But if you master it well enough to teach it to somebody, you'll get into the next thing, and then you'll master that really quickly as well and move super fast. So anyway, we've got knowledge classes, skill classes, and then we have magic classes, which tend to be small groups. So probably when you were learning blindfold techniques, it was like a very small teacher to student ratio, I'm guessing. And so that's what we do as
Yeah, we
well.
broke up into groups.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
yeah.
So you're not going to learn that either just by having like one teacher to like tons of people, because it's very interactive, and you need to see, is a person getting it? If not, so anyway,
Yeah.
so long story about I've done a lot of thinking about why school was so boring and it took so long to learn things. And then other things in my life, like learning how to play tennis or learning how to play guitar. Like I did it so quickly, like, well, why was that? And it was because it's two different things, knowledge and skills.
Yeah, and there's also something to be said for that we can't discount is the brain's capacity, right? So what we're learning now from a lot of unschoolers is that when they decide that they need a certain skill, like math, advanced math, they pick it up so quickly because they're 16, 17, 18, and they learn
Mhm.
it in like 2 weeks, as opposed
Yeah.
to spending an entire year learning something like trigonometry when you're 12 and you don't
Yes.
even like math. It's not even your wheelhouse. Your brain isn't developed enough to grasp that concept. And so why, you know what I mean? Like this is where individualized education is so important because you'll get it when you get it. And if you don't get it, you can just leave it to the side and it's not a problem.
Right.
You're not
Right.
made to feel bad because you're getting a D and somebody else is getting an A.
Right.
You just move it to the side and do something else that's more fun.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. When you're ready to learn and you want to learn, you learn so much faster than if you're being forced to learn something when you're not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're currently looking for teachers. What are you looking for in a teacher that's going to work with coherence education?
Yeah. So we're looking for a few different kinds of teachers. So for our knowledge classes, which we teach universal geometry and ancient civilizations and money mastery and things like that, I just go out and find the best people in the world at that. Like we've had Robert Kiyosaki on for our money
Oh,
course.
what?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
So these guys almost always say yes to teaching kids because they realize, by the time people are adults and they're teaching them, they have to unlearn before they learn. So I'm like, I'm going to teach the kids
Yeah.
right off the bat, or we'll get like Bruce Lipton, Gregg Braeden, those
Great.
folks,
Great.
and amazing animal communication teachers. So for those classes, we're pretty good. Where I really so for our Genius Zone project rooms, we usually have one mentor for every 8 kids. And what I really look for is somebody who's a super jack of all trades. Probably
Okay.
has been an entrepreneur. They've launched businesses, they've built websites, they've learned how to market, stuff like that, because they'll be able to help the kids the most. So the kids are not only going to create a really cool project based on their Genius Zone, but then once they build it, they get it out into the world. So they figure out like what's going to be the channel that I do that, what's going to be my pitch, what materials am I going to need. So if I can find mentors to do that in our project rooms, that's super helpful. The other thing is in our skill classes, I've got those divided up as universe, uh, earth, light, and sound. So for
Okay.
universe, they're going to drop into the lab and they're going to learn math, science, and coding. So people who are really strong in those areas, I'm looking for them to man those labs, and then or
Okay.
woman those labs, and then on the earth side is geography and languages. So
Okay.
people who are super into like maybe well traveled and know the world and know a bunch of languages and how to learn those quickly, they'll be in the earth. For light, that's art and filmmaking. So people who are really great at lots of modalities of art, and can just help kids wherever they are. And then for sound, it's if you're a great musician and you know how to put together tracks. All of our kids learn how to put together their own tracks in GarageBand or Ableton, and a lot of them are
Wow.
practicing instruments. So if there's a great music person who can just help the kids accelerate their skills there. And then also storytelling is in the sound area as well. A lot of our kids love to write. We've got like 6 published Amazon authors over this last year.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
gosh, this
so
is the best.
so yeah. If anyone's listening and you're that kind of person, I just love working with kids, please reach out to me.
Yes, please, please. And then they can just reach out to you via the website,
Yes,
coherenceeducation.com.
org. Yeah,
Dot org,
coherenceeducation.org.
coherenceeducation.org.
Yeah, and we've
Yeah,
got
so
a
you're
contact
looking,
form, and just fill that out, and we'll get right back to you.
okay, great. I mean, what you were talking about, the people who are working in the genius zone, helping kids, overseeing their projects and the marketing and everything, it seems very Shark Tank-esque. It seems
Yes.
like you could use not just like one person, but maybe like a couple that oversee the groups. I mean, the kids, because then you get like different ideas as far as like marketing and all of that. But I wanted to share with people how incredible your Shark Tank is because you had so many kids that pitched their ideas. It went for 2 hours. You had three sharks that were there listening to every kid's pitch, and they were articulate. They had great ideas, and the sharks responded to every single one.
Yeah.
And this is where like you're creating entrepreneurs just through this education alone and through the Shark Tank alone, because anytime somebody who comes up with an idea hears a yes as a feedback, they're going to continue creating. And whether their idea flops or takes off, they're still going to create because they're always going to get that yes from your sharks.
Yes, exactly, and different approaches and ideas, and so yeah, this was part of our Money Mastery for Kids class. So it was just an 8 week class, but during the course, we had 22 kids in there. Each of the kids developed their own business. Some of them were really sophisticated, and some of them were simple, like setting up lemonade stands and stuff like
Yeah.
that, or yeah, really a lot of super creative ideas in there. So they all put together a business, and then they learned how to pitch it. And believe me, I've been to so many Silicon Valley like pitch fests where the entrepreneurs are pitching the venture capitalists, and after the pitch I'm like, I still don't know what the product is even after this pitch that they work so hard at. So I'm like, none of our kids are going to do that. So they all learned this little format for being able to pitch, and they did a great job, like you said.
Oh, they did a great job. There was that one kid who makes brownies. I was like, is
Yes.
he shipping it to the US, right?
Oh
Because
my gosh.
He was in Portugal.
These are so good.
And then there was the one boy that was making those net hammocks
Yeah.
between the trees.
Tree nets. Yes.
Oh gosh, he had such a great presentation. He had it buttoned up.
He's well, they're all amazing kids. And
Yeah.
Grayson, who had that business, he so these tree nets, you weave them between, you need at least 3 trees, and you weave them in there. He uses paracord, so it's bouncy, and it basically becomes a trampoline. And he weaves walls, and they're beautiful the way it's woven.
Yeah.
And so you could go to Costco and buy a $600 trampoline, or you could pay him 1,000 and have this thing that's just beautiful. And his whole pitch was is your I taught them all to ask and engaging questions like, are you concerned that your kids are spending too much time indoors and online? Wouldn't it be great if they could get outside and do something healthy? And so he had this video showing himself like on the thing reading and jumping around and all this stuff. I'm like, I would definitely buy that. So yeah, he's probably going to make $5,000 over the summer installing these
Amazing.
things. Yeah.
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 And then I heard in his pitch that he was going to make kits so people could do it themselves.
Yes.
And he was going to
Yes.
sell those too. It's just, and I really, really loved your sharks. They
Yes.
were so kind
Big
and they
hearts.
gave such great feedback to each and every kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all three just incredibly successful, badass people as well.
Now, when you have these Shark Tank opportunities, can anybody sign on and just say, "Hey, my kid wants to pitch at the Shark Tank," or do they need to enroll in the Money Mastery class?
Mm. Yeah. So we have two ways that kids can be involved in our school. So one way is just a la carte. And so any of our knowledge classes, especially, people can just sign on. So yeah, they needed to be a part of the class so they could get coached in terms of building their business and being a part of that Shark Tank
Okay.
afterwards. Anybody could tune into the Shark Tank episode and watch that though. And hopefully that inspired some kids who didn't take the class.
Yeah,
But there's the a la carte side, and then we're an accredited school. I call us an accredited Hogwarts, but so our full time kids are there at least 5 hours a day, and we have the school open for lots of hours. So it fits different time zones. So kids can come in, and usually there's 1 hour that we call align and shine. So it's movement, mindfulness, gratitude lists, intention setting. So that's hour one.
I love it.
Hours 2 and 3 are genius zone project rooms where they have this mentored time to just like develop these amazing projects they're doing, like their musicals and their videos and screenplays and all this stuff. And then 2 hours of a key life skill class, which is our knowledge class. And then we don't assign homework, we don't do grades, they earn
Thank
badges,
you.
they give presentations, so they learn how to present their work. And that's basically it. And we're growing like crazy, the word's getting out, and I'm just having the time of my life. And the kids are, when you recognize them as geniuses, they are geniuses.
Oh,
And it's
100%.
it's so much fun just hanging out with these brilliant kids. They ask the best questions and they create the best things every day. And
And when
so
you,
fun.
okay, so when they are taking their classes, every single class with an instructor is live. Nothing
Yes.
is pre-recorded.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
We do record everything. So sometimes things happen and families are traveling, so they can tune into the recording afterwards. But what I find is the magic in these classes is having them live so the kids can ask questions and they can do
Perfect.
exercises together in breakout rooms and stuff like that. So in general, everything is live. We are going to launch the occasional packaged up course, but for the most part, we just find that so much more engaging having a live class.
Okay, and then you're accredited. So does that mean that somebody can enroll in coherence education for, let's say, from age like 7 to 12, and then they'll be able to transfer, take whatever they've learned and
Yes.
transfer to maybe like a middle school or a high school, or like even take this whole full spectrum curriculum and then just transfer to a college. Is that what this
Yes.
means, accredited?
Yes, absolutely. So our graduation diploma will be like a real diploma from a real accredited school. One of the big differences is our transcripts are going to look really, really cool because most high school transcripts are like, oh, well, they took these classes and they got a 3.2 GPA or whatever.
Right.
We'll have they they made $120,000 in their business, by
Ah,
inventing
yes.
such and such, or they wrote, directed, and produced a movie, or by the time they're 18, they're going to do these
Yes.
amazing things, and that's what colleges are actually looking for. They're they realize that just getting grades does not translate to success in the real world, or even
No,
make them a good student in college. So they're looking
no.
for people with these real life experiences. And then and then a lot of times I think these kids are going to be doing so well with their own businesses they may just put off college for a while because they're like,
Oh, I mean, they probably won't even
I
go to
keep
college
making money.
because college is irrelevant for most people. But
Yeah.
also, they're going to shine when they show up for their interview
Mm.
because they will have embodied all that they did.
Yes.
Whereas when you have a child who just bounces from like one dead-end education to another, all they've done is study to get the grade. They've only
Mm.
just done that. They aren't able to articulate what it is. And then it's just kind of fake. Like, I kind of feel like when I was applying to colleges, it was like, what am I going to talk about that's going to make me shine? Okay, this is like storytelling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's not like I haven't really done anything that great because school doesn't foster a child doing great things.
Well, there's this whole idea that you're not going to do anything great until you graduate from college.
Right.
Then that's when the starting gun goes off.
Right.
And I think that's why there's this concept of there's the academic world and there's the real world, and they're very different. But I
Right.
think I think the I think the real world should be in the academic world because the academia should teach you real world skills, while you're there. So then when you get out in the real world, you're actually ready because you know how the world works. You've already
Yeah,
created things.
because like you're saying, there's the academic world and there's the real world. And the more that you're spending time in the academic world, when you step out, you're literally stepping out square one.
Yes.
And so essentially, I would say, I would venture to say that like if somebody were to have taken coherence education from however, what age do you start at?
Well, so we have two schools. We have Master Path School, which is age 8 to 18. And in this September, we're launching a new school called Magic Path School for kids from 5 to 7. Really,
Great.
really
Great.
focusing on those magical skills because these kids are so adept at seeing through blindfolds and
Yes.
communicating with animals. And then we're going to get them started really early, like learning how to communicate their feelings and needs and active listening and stuff like that. So then when they get into Master Path School, they're already hitting the ground running. So anyway, broad age range 5 to 18.
Yeah, because what I was going to say is having seen the Shark Tank and how articulate these children were, and they were anywhere from like 8 years old to maybe 15, I would say that some college grads, when they leave college, they're probably at the same business acumen as your 10, 11-year olds.
Mm.
because they won't have had any experience. Whereas somebody coming through coherence education already has so much confidence in themselves and they already learned about money mastery and how to
Yeah.
pitch and how to create. And some of these already are pitching their businesses. They're already ahead of the game of all of these 21-year-olds coming out of college. So that's kind of
Yeah.
a bummer.
Right. Right. The 11-year-old who was had the brownie business, like like he now knows how to build a spreadsheet to put in all of his ingredients and kind of war game. Well, if I charge this for the brownies, I'm going to have this profit margin, or if I get this kind of
Yes.
resealable bag versus that. And so he's already knows how to do that kind of thing, which I didn't really learn how to do until I was easily in my
Yesterday.
late 20s. Yeah, I know. So the one thing I will also say about, so schools create nouns. So what I mean by that is they're training you to become like a certain profession. So a doctor, a lawyer, an
Mhm,
engineer, an accountant,
mhm.
a veterinarian, whatever it is. It's a noun. And the thing is, the nouns are being replaced by AI. And so college graduates right now, and AI is initially replacing all the entry level jobs first. So as a college graduate, you have the hardest time getting a job. So what what we're doing is we're creating verbs. So they're
Yes.
creators and innovators, right? And so they're
Yes.
always going to be ahead of AI. They can't be replaced
Mm-mm.
because AI lives in the past. So that's why if you have a repetitive job, you're a CPA or you're
Yeah.
a radiologist or whatever, and you're just doing repetitive things like reading X-rays or putting together tax returns, you're going to get replaced by
Yeah.
AI. But if that is your thing and that's your genius, like let's say you're a genius radiologist, you're gonna create and innovate in that field, and then
Yes.
you'll be able to partner with AI to just make that faster. So that's our focus, is creating verbs.
I love that. And also, when you say AI lives in the past, we all live in the past.
Mm.
Everything that we're bringing to our children has already been done. We've
Mm-hmm.
already lived it. And so we're at this place where your education that you're bringing to the children is open and
Mm-hmm.
expansive. So they get to create what's living in them, creating
Mm-hmm.
their own future. And as parents who have stepped into this coherence education path have already seen that we can't really teach our kids anything. Like we just said, nobody learns from talking at them. And when we talk at them, we're only talking to them about knowledge that we've already gained.
Yes.
And we don't want to stop that process of always being expansive.
Mm.
And so it's great to have coherence education as a tool to believe in what is possible instead of constantly living in fear that your child's not going to become anything because they're not getting good
Yes.
grades in this system that's already old.
Yes. And I know you had that awakening moment as a parent as well, where you took the brakes off too. What was that like for you?
It's still happening.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's still deprogramming, still asking questions, always being curious like, why am I doing the things that I do? Why do I think this way? What am I doing here? What am I trying to accomplish here? It's literally an ongoing conversation in my head all day long because I don't know what the future holds. But I
Yeah.
definitely know that like she doesn't need to be wasting time in school because I see school as being a dead end. It literally is. Just like you said, it only gives you a handful of occupations,
Yeah.
and the world is great. When I was in high school, did I think that I was going to be a podcast host? That wasn't even, it wasn't even available at the time, right? So we can't possibly educate our children for what they're going to
Yeah.
become. We just need to know that the universe is made of love and it conspires with us to just create greatness. Every child is meant for greatness.
Mm. Well, you're in your genius zone, Belinda. And I would say your genius is definitely expansive thinking, asking questions, revealing deep layers within, not only for yourself but with your guests. So it's really fun to be a part of your genius zone. And you're creating new things all the time. So
Yeah.
good for you. And any mom who sends their kid to a Dr. Edith blindfold class is an amazing mom.
Yes, yes. We had several of those in the adult class. I mean, my kid would not go because she's 17 now and she thinks I'm crazy. But, when I stuck that dime onto the wall,
Oh,
she did.
nice.
She was like, okay, I see that you just did that, but all right, I got to think about it.
Oh my gosh. We had one of our kids is this amazing, hilarious, funny kid, but he's very serious. He's just always like this. And then one day, just randomly, and he's been with us all year, and then maybe just a couple of months ago, all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, how are you guys doing today?" I'm like, "Whoa!" And I actually checked in with his mom. I'm like, what's going on with him? And she said, "Well, he took one of Dr. Edith's blindfold classes, and and he was very skeptical about the whole thing. He's not very old. He's only, I think he's 12. He might be on the
Okay.
cusp of 13, but he's like, oh, that's not going to work. And then he could actually tell the color of the papers behind his head. And then it just rocked his world. And then all of a sudden it just opened these things up. Like he started asking a lot of very fundamental questions, and it just fundamentally changed him. So it's more than a party trick when you
Yes.
when you do that kind of work, right? Because all of a sudden it's like who am I? What is the universe? How do I work in the universe? How can I see without my eyes? How can I stick
Yeah.
dimes to the wall? It's really, really
Life's not
cool.
so serious after all.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is absolutely full of magic and miracles all the time.
Yeah. Gosh, thank you so much, Andrew, for creating Coherence Education. I mean, I don't even know how you even concepted it, but it's so great. And you're going to transform humanity.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm having the time of my life. I feel like I didn't invent it. It just grabbed me and is pulling me along, and I have no choice. But I'm so glad it did, because I'm really having absolutely the time of my life.
Yeah, and just to hear from you, I feel like anyone who's listening who can potentially be an educator for Coherence Education, look at how much fun Andrew's having. Don't you want to do that? If you are a teacher at a school, get a job with Coherence Education. You're going to have a lot more fun.
Yeah, these kids, if you just let them go, they shock you. They surprise you every day with how brilliant they are, and how they just create way above and beyond your expectations. It's just so fun to see. And
So
then
fun.
and then if people want to learn more about Coherence Education, I have an open house every week. So you can just drop in and get a little bit of a spiel about how our program works. I try to keep it really short. People start learning when I stop talking. So but then there's usually a really great discussion and back and forth with the rest of the parents in the room. So if you want to check that out, it's top of our website. Just sign up for one of our open houses
Okay, great. And those open houses happen every week.
every week. Yep.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Anything else you'd like to add before we end our time together, Andrew?
No, I mean, just yeah, reach out. I'm really easy to get a hold of if you want to talk about education. If you're doing something cool with education, if your kid's having a hard time, maybe our school's right for you. Maybe I can come up with another idea. I know lots of resources in the world, so just reach out. I think every kid deserves to know how to make their dreams come true. We all have dreams, and so we just need to get them the right things, and they'll live amazing lives. And I really think the last thing I want to say is, people are really scared of this AI age that we're going into. I really believe, one of my friends called it, we're entering the harmonic age, where instead of this zero sum game where people are competing against each other, we're going to start going from zero sum game to infinite sum game, and harmonizing with each other. And so I think we're in a really amazing place that our kids, a lot of people are like, well, they're going into the old world is dead. It's like, yes, but the new world, this harmonic age, if they have the right tool set, they're going to go in and they're going to thrive. They're going to create amazing solutions that are going to transform the world. So just as if you're a parent and you're scared, just trust your kid. They're going to do amazing things. Let them become a verb.
Yes. And if you are a parent and you're afraid or you feel like your child is not enjoying the environment that they're in, definitely just check out one class in coherence education. Just one. Pick one and
Yeah.
see what happens. And just start with the belief that your child is a genius.
Yes. Yes, because they are.
They are.
They are. They're
Thank
one
you,
of one.
Andrew.
Thank you so much, Belinda. What a fun conversation. Love
Yeah.
what you're doing, and thank you so much for getting new ideas about education out in the world.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you bring. And I'm sure this will just be one of many conversations that we have.
Good, good. I can't wait
Enjoy
for the
your
next one.
day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.